You may begin.
Good morning and welcome to the July 2025 open meeting of the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. FERC's mission is to assist consumers in obtaining reliable, safe, secure, and economically efficient energy services at a reasonable cost through appropriate regulatory and market means and collaborative efforts. The purpose of the open meeting is for the Commission to consider the matters that have been duly posted in accordance with the Government in the Sunshine Act. Members of the public are invited to observe, which includes attending, listening, and taking notes, but does not include participating in the meeting or addressing the Commission. Actions that purposely interfere or attempt to interfere with the commencement or conducting of the meeting or inhibit the audience's ability to observe or listen to the meeting are not permitted. This includes attempts by audience members to address the Commission while the meeting is in progress. Any persons engaging in such behavior will be asked to leave the building. Anyone who refuses to leave voluntarily will be escorted from the building. Additionally, documents presented to the chairman, commissioners, or staff during the meeting will not become part of the official record of any Commission proceeding, nor will they require further action by the Commission. If you wish to comment on an ongoing proceeding before the Commission, please visit our website for more information. Also, representatives from FERC's Office of Public Participation are located just outside the Commission meeting room to answer questions and to assist the public with submission inquiries. Thank you for your cooperation. Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Commissioners. This is a time and place that has been noticed for the open meeting of the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission to consider the matters that have been duly posted by the Commission. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, everybody. I'll start the opening statements with a very brief opening statement. I'll have a lot more to say in closing. But I want to note just one thing about, you may think that the agenda today is pretty light, but we've gotten a lot. FERC continues to do a ton of stuff. We haven't, since my chairmanship, we've actually, if my view is if orders are ready, we go ahead and vote on them. There's no reason to hold them up until the open meeting. So we've been doing a ton of stuff. Just in the last week, I would just name three. We got out the MISO ERAS, which I can't even tell you what that acronym is, but it's about improving reliability in MISO by making sure that needed generation gets built and gets built quickly. We did the SPP ERAS just a couple days ago. Last Friday, we did a very important order also from MISO, a declaratory order where MISO wanted to challenge the IMM, the Independent Market Monitors Authority. We got that order out. So we've been doing a ton of stuff. And one of the things I want to do today in my last meeting is to thank a whole lot of people, and I'm going to get to that in my closing. But I want to start, and this is a good time to do it, looking at the agenda and looking at just what we've done just in the last few days. Start by thanking FERC staff. Back in, I think it was early February, I got an email along with everybody else at FERC saying, put in an email 5 things you did last week. And I thought, FERC does 5 things in a minute. I said, so I'm going to respond on behalf of FERC, and I'm going to list everything that FERC accomplished last week. And so I started doing the letters about what FERC as an agency accomplished, and I've continued doing that. And if you read those letters, and they're all out there on the internet, you see just how much this agency accomplishes every week and every 2 weeks. What I put in those letters are highlights, is not even the full scope of what FERC accomplishes. So proud of those letters, proud of our track record, proud of what FERC has accomplished. And those letters simply detail how amazing the work is that gets done here. And it gets done because staff gets it done. And I want to thank my colleagues because obviously they had to vote for it for us to take credit for it. So it's very important to know that staff has been doing all that. And I'm proud of those letters, and because they really detail that FERC didn't do 5 things last week. FERC did 5 things in the last minute. So it's very important, and I want to thank staff for that. And with that, I don't have any more opening statements, so we'll move down to Commissioner Rosner.
Well, thank you, Chairman. And also, I just want to echo my thanks to the Commission staff for all the hard work this month. It's so important that we have high quality orders, and wouldn't be able to do it without the input of everyone sitting around this table and all the teams. So thank you. I have 2 things on today's agenda I just want to touch on briefly. First, on interconnection, we have an order for PJM, and so it's another important day on the interconnection front. This is, I think, actually, I know, our last first round compliance order to implement Commission's Order 2023 generator interconnection reforms. And I just want to note that it's wonderful to be on this arc of the reform journey, if you will. These filings are going to ultimately unlock what I hope will be significant efficiencies in the generator interconnection process that are based on industry's best practices, best thinking that we collected several years ago. And ultimately, the goal of all this is to get new generation online faster and efficiently and safely. And so I'm really glad that we're issuing this order. I know both the Commission and the transmission providers have some more work to do to cross the T's, dot the I's, and get the reforms up and running. But I'm encouraged that it's a step in the right direction. And that step is really necessary. We've got another item on the agenda today that just shows you the sort of frustration that so many project developers face when trying to build new energy infrastructure in this country. E4 on here is a generator with about 180 megawatts of nameplate. It's been in the queue 8 years. The delay was so long that the original equipment that they spec'd in their application is no longer manufactured. And so they have to ask for a waiver for more time so that we can plug in the new equipment into all the engineering studies and make sure that can be connected safely. It's just taken too long. And we have, unfortunately, examples like this all the time that show us these problems. And the only way to solve those problems is with speed. And so I'm really excited to move the Order 2023 reforms forward. But I also, again, you'll always be hearing from me to encourage industry to take the innovations and best practices that they develop with and bring them forward with no additional FERC regulation. I continue to think that's really important today, and look forward to that continuing. I guess I have 3 things because that was 2, but the third is I just want to touch on the NERC IBR inverter-based resource standards. This is just critically important work for the Commission. These new ride-through standards are based on really broad stakeholder input and support, and they're really critical for the ongoing work of just being smart about the grid that we have with the technologies that are on the grid today, and making sure that we have secure and reliable electricity across the country. And last month, thank you again to NERC for presenting on the Iberian Peninsula incident. And one of the things that struck me was how the U.S. and our partners in North America have really benefited from NERC's forward thinking on reliability standards. And I just want to underscore again that these inverter-based resources, nearly a decade ago, this Commission and NERC established standards that, according to NERC, would have mitigated the exact frequency ride-through issues that caused the blackout in Spain a couple months ago. And so I'm really proud that we're continuing that forward-thinking legacy today. There's nothing more appropriate than solving tomorrow's problems today before they become a problem tomorrow. And that's what we're doing here on these standards. And also, I just want to encourage vigilance here. I think we're making progress on ride-through, frequency ride-through, but also there's more to do. And one topic of conversation I had across this table with NERC was, what's the next thing? What's this commission 10 years from now going to look back to today and think, hey, that was a good idea? And I think one of those things, perhaps with NERC's expertise, is thinking through asking inverter-based resources to do more on with their grid forming capabilities. And so I just look forward to them working with their stakeholders, finding the right engineering solutions to these problems as they think through standards going forward. And again, I know I thanked FERC staff a minute ago. NERC also has a team, and I want to thank them for the work. And there will be lots of it to implement these standards. So that's it for me. Back to you, Chairman.
Okay, Commissioner Singh.
Well, good morning, everyone. As others have said, there'll be much more to say later at the end of this meeting, but I just have a couple areas to highlight quickly as we get started. The first, not to steal the Chairman's thunder and Commissioner Rosner's thunder, but both of them mentioned a couple of important measures that we have voted on earlier this week and will be voting today that deal with interconnection. And we're at a place where being able to get new resources able to deliver reliable power quickly is becoming more urgent each and every day. We're all familiar with the very significant burdens that building new generators takes right now. When we get to the finish line of plugging them into the grid, that's not the time for any additional unneeded delay. Now, that's of course not nearly as simple as it sounds, just plugging into the grid. And I really want to commend everyone involved on the industry and RTO side and FERC staff for reviewing when it comes to the tremendous effort for common sense and important reforms. But I think also we can take some encouragement when it comes to the practical value of all of this time and effort. We only have to look to the news in terms of soaring energy demands and the cost consequences for real consumers to see how much this work tangibly matters. So I really want to commend PJM, MISO, SPP, the other RTOs, ISOs, utilities for their work on these matters. And as the Commission, we're going to continue to commit to work with you on fast, innovative, and fair solutions to get more sources connected and doing their job delivering power quickly. The second item I just want to highlight, going off of the chairman's theme of talking about some of our non-agenda items, I just want to briefly mention something we voted on earlier this month after our last meeting in the hydropower area. We voted as a commission to adopt a couple of new categorical exclusions that the Bureau of Reclamation is already using when it comes to site-specific analyses under NEPA. And in plain English, what this means is it's going to be faster to get approvals for certain maintenance replacements and safety enhancing projects at hydropower facilities. Hydropower is such an important resource that doesn't always get top billing when it comes to reliable and clear energy, but serves a really important role in our nation's energy portfolio. And so I was glad to see this common sense effort to remove unneeded burdens to keep them running efficiently and safely. And we'll keep looking for more when it comes to streamlining permitting and maintenance and approvals in that space. And that just brings what's been, I think, a common refrain for a number of us that, there's a lot of work that goes on that goes up to commission meeting days, but that work continues each and every other day of the month too. So I also want to echo my thanks at this last open meeting we have before we take off next month for all of the very hard work of our commission staff who works every day, meeting days and otherwise, to keep that critical work going forward. So thank you for what you do, and we'll keep doing it tomorrow and Monday and all the days to come.
Okay, Mr. Chang.
Good morning, everyone. I want to echo first everyone's comment about thanking staff. I know that this chairman, as you set your date to leave us, I know that you wanted to get a lot of work done before that happens. And I know we had the help of all of our staff. And I know it's been a lot of work over the last few months, and I just really sincerely want to thank the staff that has always been available, always working hard, and always tried to get the proper answer, right answer, so that we provide the best legally durable decision for the industry. So I want to thank staff for that. I also want to wish my colleagues here, we together celebrate our 1-year anniversary. So we've been on the commission for 1 year, and I was very optimistic and working very well together, at the beginning. And I can just say it's been a pleasure and an honor to work with all of you. And I continue to have great hopes for our years to come and be productive in the coming years together. Like I said, it's been very busy few months, but particularly this month. I also want to just have a thank you back to I took a trip to Alaska and had a chance to see firsthand some of the hydro facilities and how incredibly important they are to the lives of the people in Alaska. And it was just such an incredible, informative visit in the state. And I want to thank the offices of Senator Murkowski and Sullivan for providing their guidance and sharing their beautiful state, and all of the industry representatives, the regulators, the local representatives, and including mayors to just talk through how important these hydro facilities are important to them. When it comes to energy, of course, no two regions are the same, and it was, just so important for me to see firsthand how Alaska functions under sort of the local energy resources that they have. I also want to mention that yet again, we're entering to an extreme weather event situation, and repeatedly we see, these extreme weather, extreme heat situation. And I just want to first thank all of the RTOs, ISOs, and all the system operators around the country that, one, keep us informed of what is going on, but really everything you do every day to keep the system reliable during these very severe events. I'm just incredibly grateful for that. On today's agenda, on echoing Commissioner Rosner's comment about E1, I also think this is incredibly important to set the proper guidance and proper standards for all the technologies that are attaching to our grid. Respective to E1, we are providing NERC the authority to address two exceptions or exemptions related to the comments that have been raised around voltage and frequency right through requirements for inverter-based resources. So we are asking NERC to report back to FERC on its decisions related to these issues. And so I just say, as NERC considers these topics, I do encourage them to work with industry and the OEMs to balance the resource adequacy concerns with the operational reliability concerns. And I look forward to continue to work with NERC on this, because like Commissioner Rosner says, this is really just a very important topic for us going forward to make sure that the system stays reliable. So with that, back to you, Chairman.
All right, I think it's time to vote.
Commissioner, since the June 26, 2025 open meeting, the Commission has issued 80 notational orders. Also, since the issuance of the Sunshine Act notice on July 17, 2025, G1 has been stricken from this morning's agenda. Your consent agenda for this morning is as follows. Electric items, E1, E2, E3, E4, and E5. Hydro items, H1, H2, and H3. Certificate items, C1, C2, and C3. We will now take a vote on this morning's agenda items. The vote begins with Commissioner Chang.
I vote aye.
Commissioner C.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Rosner.
I vote aye.
And Chairman Christie.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I'm close. All right. Let me move on to, we're going to move on to closing statements. So we're going to start with Commissioner Chang.
Well, it's, to be honest, it's a very sad day for me. I met Mark long before I joined the commission, and I just very much respected him when we were working across the industry together in separate realms. But as soon as I got here, Mark reached out. Actually, before I even got here, he reached out to just say, extending his hand to say, he wants to be helpful in any way he can. And ever since that day, I think we've been working very well together. And that's not easy sometimes when we don't see the same angle on the same issues. So I just want to say that I'm extremely grateful for your friendship and for our ability to work together through difficult cases, but also just, even the hallway chats have been just wonderful. And you've been incredibly, acting with lots of grace during this time, especially during the last few months when things are a little bit uncertain for the agency. And I think you care a lot about this agency and the industry in general and all of us here. So with that, I just want to thank you and wish you well. I hope we continue to stay in touch, but I just think, the way you treat everyone and the way you treat the issues, I have full respect for the way you think about the incredibly important work that's before us. Thank you, Chairman.
Mr. Say.
Mr. Chairman, I also want to say a few nice things about you, and you promised me that you would not cut off the mic, so we could go through there. It is a loss to the agency for you to go, but it's been an incredible privilege and honor to serve with you. It's sort of like Commissioner Chang. I was thinking about some of my first conversations with you. You also reached out early in the confirmation process and gave a lot of incredibly helpful advice for preparing for the hearing, and I remember taking a lot of notes and referring to them kind of substantively. You told me that congressmen are not the same as judges, so maybe be careful as a former litigator, which is good advice. But the other piece I remember is everybody else in that process was saying, okay, this is tough. You can do it. You just got to get through. And your advice was, don't forget that this is really fun. And you were the only person who had said that. And I didn't know you at that point. So I wasn't sure if this was you being a little bit sarcastic and I just had to get to know you. But it turned out, it turned out you were completely genuine about that, because I got to see that in practice when we all testified together last summer. I really appreciated your energy and the enthusiasm you bring to this work. There are long days, there are hard days, but you never forget, and you never let us forget that it is a privilege and honestly a lot of fun to be able to be part of this dynamic area. I'm also so grateful for the expertise that you bring. It's really evident how much experience you brought from your previous lives to this position here. You understand the technicalities of the different proposals in front of us in a really brass tacks way, and about how they're going to work in practice in the different RTO regions or the non-RTO ISO models. And I really appreciate the way you can see downstream consequences with impressive clarity, and you operate in everything with clear and strong principles that are firmly grounded in your lived experience and hard work and study. And that's been a huge asset to the agency. And I have learned so much from that as well. I think the last thing that when I'm thinking of things that I have really appreciated about your approach, I have heard you say to me and to many others over the past year and a half that you never want to forget who's not in the room when you make decisions. And every time I've heard you say that, I never get the sense that that's just a platitude, because that is really a core principle for you. When we talk about reliability, you want to know for who. What does that mean? What does affordability mean in really concrete ways? And I think that you have put the pressure on yourself and on us in a really helpful way when it comes to remembering who is actually affected by the work that we do. I know that we are better for it, and I want us to continue to follow that example. So thank you so much. It's been an honor to serve with you. I really appreciate your example as a colleague and your friendship, and wish you well with the transition. And I'm excited to see what you're going to be continuing to offer to the world going forward.
Lawyers think stuff is fun that nobody else thinks is fun. Okay. Commissioner Rosner.
Well, it is a real honor to be able to celebrate your tenure in this way. But first, I want to thank your team. Tegan, Neil, Kevin, Regine, there you are, and Ashley. But thank you for making the office work so well under his leadership. Tegan, thank you for all the conversations about Maine and the YS. I always enjoyed that when I was on staff and when we interacted in this role too. I wrote down a couple of remarks, but my plan was always to kind of wing this. So
That's what I.
Yeah, I know. I'm learning from your example. Few people show up in this building with more complete and comprehensive experience than you did. I mean, Marine Corps, Virginia State Corporation Commission, and now serving as the chair, but previously commissioner and working under 3 different chairs. And more to your career before that. There were 2 chairs. Well, I'm counting you 2. You served. You also had some experience in the legislature, which I know helped some of your negotiation tactics with me. and so you had the full package coming in the door, and I got a lot of memories, and some of them you probably don't remember. But I was on commission staff before here, as some of you know, and I was put in charge of running all these capacity market conferences for Chairman Glick, and it was during COVID, and it was all virtual, and the way we ran these things was like you be online in this small little virtual room, and so we were one-on-one, and I remember you saying, "Why is this so long? And why are we having so many of these?" I got one thing to say, and and you said it, and administrative construct rings familiar, and that,
Right.
yeah, and but I got my first interaction with you then, and then I met you again when I worked for Chairman Manchin, and then I think the day I was nominated, my phone's ringing, and there you are on the other end, and one thing that's been incredibly consistent with you is that you have this pattern. You always tell me exactly what you think right at the beginning. And not many people do that. And that has always been something that I admired, because I'll be honest, I don't always know what I think. And you know that. Takes me a little while to figure it out sometimes, but you always seem to know. And it doesn't mean that you're dogmatic. Sometimes you change your mind, and we talk, and it's good.
Rare.
Yeah. But sometimes you do. And so, over the summer, I'm new. I take a trip down to Richmond, and we go and meet the Virginia State Commission and the commissioners there, and had a wonderful conversation with them about all the things that we've been talking about in this room over the past year. But one thing that stuck out to me is when you walk into the Virginia State Commission building with Chairman Christie, it's like you're with an NBA star, because everybody there is like, "He's back," it's almost like, you've left, but you're still there, and like your office is still mostly the same. Like Kelsey's made some changes, but not a lot. But like, yeah.
Always says it looks a lot better.
It looks a lot better. Yeah. But that really stuck to me, that and it was everyone. It was from the person at the front door to the people who, process a lot of the filings, to the commissioners. You're a legend there. And I just really appreciate the relationship. We started working on the Order 1920 transmission rule. That thing was like 1,500 pages long, but we boiled it down, the three of us, down to like 2 pages of things that we cared about, 2 pages of things that we could explain, that were important to change and find some compromise. And it's not perfect, but it's a lot better than when we started, and that took a lot of trust and collaboration and months of work. And so I really admire you for that, for your leadership on that. And since then, I mean, we've worked on hundreds of orders together. And what I can see from the work with you is that you really believe in American energy and building American energy infrastructure. That's been really clear through our work together. And you also are a good captain at the helm here. I mean, I can't call it, I'm going to anonymize some of the details because our conversations are private, but some of the things that have happened for me are, Dave, why are you in this order? What's wrong with it? And that happens a lot. And you're right. We're always, I think we're always looking to make things better, but also, not letting the enemy, the perfect be the enemy of the good is something that really resonates with me. And really, the way you've led this agency, the past 7 months, I really admire. What's obvious to me is that first and foremost, you care about the people, and nothing's possible without the people. And you've done that. You've stewarded it through a change in administration, through a change in policy, and you've explained what we're doing. You mentioned your letters. I'm really proud of those letters. I think that's a really good thing. You've been an excellent communicator of what this agency has been achieving, and to people who care about it. And we've gotten our work done. I know a lot of FERC chairs have talked about making FERC boring again. And you, I think, really have achieved that. We've done a lot of we've done a lot of complicated orders. We've done a lot of important work that has been consensus. The level of consensus is high, and I call that boring. But also, the energy nerd here, also finds this all very exciting, and it's really important. These are critical issues for the country, and they've done well under your leadership. So I'm really gonna miss you. I know you're not leaving yet, but this is your last meeting. You're gonna be missed here, and I don't think we all really know how much we'll do that yet. But I know we're gonna miss you a lot. And this agency is gonna miss you a lot. But I really just want to thank you for your leadership. And one more thing. So you told us no gifts, and I'm a bad listener sometimes, and so the three of us have gotten you some little gifts. We've got you a card, and a little photo that we just wanted to give to you. And so here you are. Thank you for your service, and back to you.
Charles, is this under the limit? Okay. Well, thank you all. Thank you all very much. Thank you all very much. I guess that's it.
That's it.
That's it from me.
Okay. All right. Well, listen to all this night. Listen to all these great colleagues saying all these great things. I think of a quote from one of my favorite writers, and that's Mark Twain. And Mark Twain said one time that the difference between a testimonial and a eulogy is that with a testimonial, there's one living person in the room who believes it. And my wife is here. But thank you all. I've got a bunch of thank yous too. I figured out the other night that I've been in a public office for 31 years, going back to, it started with Governor Allen in Virginia when he was elected, and brought me into his administration to ultimately be a cabinet member, council, director of policy, started as deputy and then became council and director of policy. And ever since that was 1994. And I've been in public office ever since, even when I was returned from the governor's office to private law practice. Governor Allen had put me on the State Board of Education. I became president of the State Board of Education. And that was you're dealing with K-12 education. That is not uncontroversial, I can tell you. I mean, CPCNs are nothing compared to standards of learning in Virginia public schools. But anyway, after 31 years, it's coming to an end. And let me just say this, when I look back at my experience, it's been a hell of a ride. It really has. I've had tremendous opportunities and to serve the public, to be in public office where you get a chance to do good things. And let me just say this, nobody accomplishes anything alone. Whatever you accomplish, others are part of it. So let me just try to thank just some of the people who along the way helped me, taught me, mentored me, kicked me in the rear occasionally. I usually learn more from that than the praise. And as the Kenny Rogers song goes, teaches you how to hold them and when to fold them, which is part of politics. And it's not a science; it's an art. Believe me. So let me just talk about some of the people and thank them. First, of course, going back, I mentioned Governor Allen. I got to thank Virginia Governor Allen. He's the one who brought me into, took me out of a nice lucrative law practice and maybe take a pay cut of about 80%, and that's all right. It's been very rewarding being in public service, and so thank you to Governor Allen. I want to thank the members of the Virginia General Assembly. They elected me 3 times to the Virginia State Corporation Commission. The way it works in Virginia is unique. You don't get appointed by a governor, you get elected by the legislature, and they elected me 3 times. To the State Corporation Commission. There was never any no votes. I do keep score, and which is either a vote of confidence or they weren't paying attention. But I consider the Virginia Commission, Dave talked about our visit. He came down to Richmond and I took him to the Virginia Commission, and I took Chairman Glick previously to the Virginia Commission. And I think the Virginia Commission is the gold standard for a state regulatory agency. When I was nominated to FERC, I had met with our staff at Virginia, and I said that this is not a testimonial to me or an affirmation of me. This is a recognition that of the national respect and the national stature that the Virginia Commission has earned. And so my nomination to FERC, and that's why I'm here, obviously, right? I'm at FERC because I was a Virginia Commissioner for 17 years. That's the main reason I'm here. And so I told my staff in Virginia that you're the gold standard, and this is why I got nominated, because I'm part of this gold standard of a state regulatory agency. Obviously, I want to thank President Trump, who appointed me from the Virginia Commission back in 2020, and then appointed me as chairman, gave me the opportunity to have this tremendous experience here at FERC. And yes, Commissioner Rosner got there first, but I want to thank the Christie team, which is the best damn staff anybody ever had. If this team were a law firm, it'd be Martindale Hubble rated 5-star. So I'm very proud of them. I want to introduce every one of them. Start standing up. Hey, we'll start at that end. Tegan Flynn. This is going to be like lead singer introducing the rock band. Tegan on bass. Tegan has been with me literally from day one. She has not only handled PJM, which is the gift that keeps on giving, but she also has done New York ISO, New England ISO, and most importantly for me, she has kept me out of trouble because she does the ethics stuff, and that's been very, very important, believe me. And between Tegan and Charles Beeman back there, they've kept me totally out of trouble. And if anybody suggests otherwise in the days to come, you'll be a liar. So, so they've kept me absolutely clean. So don't even bother to come looking. So thank you to Tegan. Neil Yalabandi. Neil came with me very early. One thing about my staff, people have come to my staff and they don't leave. It's like Hotel California. They can't. Neil has handled MISO and NERC. The item E1 today, the IBR. Neil was the one who handled that for me and does a great job. Kevin Blake is a detail lead in my office. Kevin has been with us for a couple of months working on PJM, helping Tegan on PJM, and so we thank Kevin's help. Bree Sinclair is another detail lead. Bree has actually been in my office twice. This is her second round, and the fact she was willing to come a second time, I think is good testimony. So I think Bree is doing the Natural Gas Act stuff while Sam is doing his Ernest Hemingway trip to Spain. So, but I want to mention Sam Backfield running with the Bulls, who does my Natural Gas Act work. So thanks, and Sam has been there from the beginning too. Regine Baust, I say it Baust, you say Boss, but it's your name.
Tomato.
Yeah, but Regine came to me very early and has been doing SPP, CAISO, and everything between the Mississippi and the Pacific, which is a pretty big range. Regine's been absolutely wonderful, just like all of my staff. And so those are the lawyers. So that's the legal team. Now I want to introduce Ashley Ingebrigtsen. Ashley has been with me again from the beginning. You don't see Ashley because she lives in Denver, but Ashley has been doing all my scheduling, all my travel, all my budget, and Ashley's been absolutely key. Ashley came to me from NARUC, and NARUC's loss was my gain. And Ashley came to me early in my tenure, and then she was living in Alexandria at the time, and then moved to Denver, and I said, well, that's no problem. So, and she's continued to do it. So Ashley came all the way out from Denver to be here. So I want to thank you, Ashley. So that's my team, and they've all been, and I'm going to mention one other name, Kelsey Baggett. Dave mentioned Kelsey was on my original team, and Kelsey went on to bigger and better things. She is now literally in my office in Richmond in the Virginia State Corporation Commission. So I want to give a shout out to Kelsey. Hope you're doing well. And my wife says the office is decorated much better with Kelsey. So for sure, I wouldn't replace anything. I had 20-year-old furniture, and I said, I'm going to read in the paper that I got new furniture. So just forget it. So anyway, thanks to my team. They're absolutely fabulous, and I couldn't have done anything around here without them. I want to again, I want to thank my colleagues. My colleagues have been absolutely great, wonderful people, absolutely wonderful people, ethical people, wonderful to work with. I want to thank all the colleagues I've worked with since January 2021. Hard to believe, but it's been 4.5 years. And actually, you were right, because you said I was under 3 chairs, and you are absolutely correct, because when I got here, James Danley was the chair. That's correct. So you were right. You didn't know that, but you were right. So I've served under 3 chairs: James Danley, Rich Glick, and Willie Phillips. And I want to, also great people. all three of them, very dedicated to this mission of this commission. In particular, I want to thank Rich and Willie, who gave me wonderful opportunities to do really fun dissents. I really enjoyed that. And let me also mention, I certainly don't want to forget, Neil Chatterjee was on the commission when I came. Neil was a mentor and had a lot of advice, good, bad, and indifferent. But Neil had a lot of advice and no, very valuable. And Neil's a good friend, and I love keeping up with Neil and what he's doing on a daily basis. And I also want to thank Allison Clements. Allison came in with me. I've said one time that the only reason I got here and got through Senate Energy Committee and got through the Senate floor is because Allison and I were paired. And so I'm sure I wouldn't have gotten here without that being paired with Allison. So I've always been appreciative to Allison for helping me get here. So thanks to my colleagues. And finally, I want to introduce and thank my wife, Anita. Anita feels stand up and wave. Anita is my best friend, true life partner. She's had to take care of our entire household, our menagerie, our greyhound pack, and the cats who harass them mercilessly. And while I've been up here, actually, we had an incident even this spring. She texted me at 3:00 in the morning. She was at the emergency vet because one of our greyhounds got bit by a snake. And so she was there by herself, 3:00 in the morning, while I'm up here. And so she's had to keep things taken care of. And not that she doesn't have a lot to do. I was elected 3 times by the Virginia legislature, but that electorate's only 140 voters. She's been elected twice to our local government, and she's gotten hundreds more votes than I ever got. And by the people, okay, not a state legislature, but by the people. So very proud of her. And in fact, on my playlist today, that was my playlist, of course. I had a number by none other than the Godfather of Love, Barry White himself. You're my first, my last, my everything. And that's Anita. So I want to say that. Yeah. And finally, I do want to close with that story that Lindsay mentioned, and I tell it incessantly. People are probably sick of it, but I'm going to say it anyway because it's been a guiding light. It's been a guiding principle. My first year on the Virginia Commission, I was sitting on my first rate case. And in Virginia, we do rate cases in a courtroom, which is the way it ought to be done. It's fun, too. And yeah, it is fun. It really is. People, non-lawyers wouldn't say that. But we had our first big rate case. I think it was Dominion. And we're sitting in this courtroom. And the courtroom, our main courtroom is bigger than this. And it was packed. And I came out of that first day, long day, and I said to the then chairman, who was a former member of the legislature, actually, I said, wow, that room was packed with people. And he said, that room wasn't packed with people. That room was packed with lawyers and lobbyists for every interest group that has money riding on what we do. He said, the people who pay the bills for what we do and what we're going to do in this rate case, those people are not in that room. So don't you ever forget the people who are not in that room. And I took that to heart, and that was in 2004, and that's 21 years ago. And so one thing I've tried to live by ever since was that advice, which is when you're on a commission like this, when you're on the Virginia Commission, when what you do affects what people have to pay in their monthly bills, and God knows we have millions of people struggling to pay their bills these days, when it affects whether their lights are going to stay on, you have to remember those people who are not in the room. And I can say that I've always tried my best to remember the people who are not in the room. And with that, we are adjourned, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. I do.